My favorite two MLB insiders, a sincere apology to Jeff Passan or Buster Olney or Ken Rosenthal. Both were on the SportsGrid network yesterday breaking down deals on deadline day. Our MLB insider, Craig Mish, on Newswire had a mashup, a seismic mashup, as he welcomed on Bert Murray, MLB insider for Fansided, who has been here on the morning show on SportsGrid many a time. And it was Bert breaking down the trade yesterday, the biggest on deadline day in MLB, the Dodgers acquiring Jack Flaherty from the Detroit Tigers. Jack Flaherty, a Los Angeles native, played his high school baseball at powerhouse Harvard Westlake, now makes his way back to his hometown team. Having a good year in the Motor City should fortify a starting rotation for LA that desperately needs it to be a true World Series contender.
And the move was much needed here because we have been saying over the past couple weeks, let's see what the Dodgers do at the deadline so we can reevaluate. And as the deadline was getting closer and closer and closer, it seemed apparent like the top level pitchers were not going to be moved. And also, if you were watching the clock yesterday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, nothing going down. Like, wow, the Dodgers are going to stand pat. And quite frankly, Ben, I was ready to fire that tweet out that goes, all the expectations for the Dodgers that we had were major moves were going to be had. That's why their price is being listed at the FanDuel Sportsbook as a prohibitive favorite, because we expected the expectation being they are going to make major moves. So I had that tweet ready to go, like, hey, look at the Dodgers. The rest of Major League Baseball actually picks up a win here. Yeah. Flaherty comes in. Now, is Flaherty going to be the Cy Young Award winner and the most dominant pitcher down the stretch? Probably not. But you look at that starting lineup and how much it needed a frontline starting pitcher just to carry those guys until some guys come back off the IL. A much-needed move for the Dodgers. And no surprise, Ben, they made that move.
Tyler Glasnow is now back for Los Angeles. He has made 2 starts since he was put on the short-term IL with a little bit of all-star break rest in early July. The Dodgers have lost both of those games, but Glasnow has been pretty solid. You add Jack Flaherty, you wait for the return of Yoshi Yamamoto, and you do have a frontline starting staff that by the time playoff baseball comes around in October, that is not to be trifled with. Jack Flaherty this year again, 7-5, a 2.95 ERA, only 10 earned given up over his last 9 starts, and that includes an outing against the Angels, where he allowed 5 earned runs at the end of June. A good move by the Dodgers when you expected them to make one. Really, it was the Southern California teams, Donnie, that faced off yesterday in San Diego that made perhaps the biggest or most impactful moves on deadline day. The Padres acquiring the Marlins closer in Tanner Scott, fortifying the back end of the bullpen in San Diego. The Padres have made a run since the beginning of July. They're now a wild card team in the National League. A victory over the Dodgers yesterday. San Diego's won 8 of its last 9 games.
Yeah, and as I said, I think they're in line possibly to win another one today to keep that hot streak going. Are you saying they're going to catch the Dodgers? Probably not, but they are a playoff team, and they got enough talent here to certainly do some damage in the playoffs. But if we could just flip it over for a second, Marlins fans, all 3 of you that I'm talking to out here right now, I mean, where does this leave you? Like, where does it leave them right now? Is this like, if you are asking like a fan base just to buy in and say, hey, come out, like at least with the Pirates, they give you something to cheer for, even if they're not going to spend any money, some homegrown talent, something to buy into. Every other year, it's a reset. Every other year, it's a new president of operations. It's a new general manager. It's a new ownership group that's going to buy that team. And they're left with absolutely nothing. So what are we actually rebuilding into? 2 or 3 years to do the same exact thing again? And it's crazy to see, like, even like Jazz Chisholm goes to the Yankees, like, hey, that's a pretty decent move. Yeah. The minute he gets out of there, looking like he is having the time of his life, like, wow, I'm playing in front of sold-out ballparks here. I'm with a team that's notorious for winning championships. It's almost like these guys are just escaping the asylum and enjoying themselves outside of Miami. I just feel for the Marlins fans, again, if there are any left, and why should you be? Because you keep getting the carpet pulled out from you year after year after year. It's wild that Major League Baseball allows the A's and also the Marlins to operate like this.
DRS, the second worst record in the National League, 39-68. Only the Rockies worse, and of course the Chicago White Sox, the worst team in MLB. We will ask our MLB insider who covers the Marlins, Craig Mish, who is breaking a ton of those deals that the Marlins made over the last 48, 72 hours, even dating back to last week when they sent A.J. Puck around MLB as well. And Jazz Chisholm thriving in New York to start his Yankees tenure. Brian De La Cruz traded yesterday. Craig did not break any news, sadly, during the daily basis on the early line, but at the end of Newswire did mention that Trevor Rogers was getting moved by Miami. He makes his way to Baltimore. So a lot of the moves yesterday that Marlins had a hand in. Josh Bell traded yesterday as well. DRS, any of the maybe under-the-radar moves outside of Jack Flaherty to the Dodgers or Tanner Scott to the Padres that caught your attention?
Lightning in a bottle, we could be seeing this year, and that's with the Orioles getting Eloy Jimenez. We know him from the past where he's really struggled. He makes decent money. He was basically left for dead on a team that wasn't doing anything, goes now to a different organization. So, like, Chisholm was having an okay season. Now he goes to the Yankees like, you know what? I feel good about this. I think we can win a World Series. Let me get reinvigorated. That's one of those where if he pops off down the stretch as a power bat in that lineup that technically doesn't even need any more power bats, I love that move.
Right.
He gave up nothing, and the chance to strike gold is still there. So the Eloy Jimenez, I also think maybe a Kevin Kiermaier move out to the Dodgers. Say, boy, he can't hit anymore. It doesn't matter. When you're looking to win playoff games, Ben, you want to put Kiermaier in center field, let's just say, over the eighth and ninth inning when you have a one-run lead. That's all you need. Like, these simple moves that sort of put you over the top that you see right now, like, oh, Kiermaier's not going to do anything for the Dodgers. You wait for the playoffs. You wait for a big moment, and he either steals a home run and makes a crazy diving catch in center field. Like, wow. That move was sensational. So a little bit under the radar there in Kiermaier and Eloy Jimenez.
I think it's a good point, Donnie. When you get to October baseball, when the rotations are tight, when your roster is set, it might not be the marquee move, the biggest bat on the market who was available, the best starting pitcher, although Jack Flaherty should really help in Los Angeles. It can be those pieces that managers use to make all the difference in a different atmosphere come postseason time. Kevin Kiermaier, as good as you will see around the major leagues defensively in center field. We'll talk about the names that weren't traded ahead of the deadline, if we were surprised by any, and take a look at where the market stands. Now in MLB, up next on the early line. Live right here on the early line on SportsGrid and all across that SportsGrid network. It is Wednesday following deadline day in Major League Baseball. We talked about the trades that did happen. Here are the marquee players that we thought might have been available on that trading block that did not get moved. Tarek Skubal stays in Detroit. Good. Minus 145, your American League Cy Young favorite, although Corbin Burns, after a great outing yesterday for the O's, now also in minus money at minus 110. Our MLB insider, not Craig Mish, but specifically here on the early line, Joe Frieso, our producer, was correct. His sources were telling him that Garrett Crochet was not actually available, and the White Sox hold on to their best starting pitcher. Blake Snell not moved, although San Francisco was a slight seller at the deadline, trading Jorge Soler. Blake Snell remains by the Bay. Luis Robert Jr., he stays in Chicago. I'm not sure he's happy about that. Luis Rengifo, he stays in Anaheim, and Yandy Diaz stays in Tampa as well. Of the guys that stayed put, Donnie, who do you think is maybe the most angry to still be in that spot?
Probably Luis Robert at this point, because like that team is just terrible. And what are you going to do down the backstretch? You got no protection in the lineup. But outside of that, the Tarek Skubal move that we started to hear about like 3 to 4 weeks ago made zero sense. A pitcher in his mid to late 20s, one of the best young left-handed pitchers in baseball with a chance to win a Cy Young on a team that has an outside chance to make a playoff run, was going to give that guy up in hopes they would get a package back for maybe they would find another Tarek Skubal. That made zero sense. I'm glad he stayed in Detroit. Yeah. Good for the fans there as well. Garrett Crochet, this one shaped up once again as this is an oddity because you know the White Sox wanted to move him. You know the White Sox wanted to replenish that farm system, and all of a sudden their agent comes in and throws a wrench in it and goes, okay, if he's going to move, you're going to meet every single demand we want for the new team. So what's the new team do like the Los Angeles Dodgers? Yeah, we'll move on to find another guy that we can just trade for, and he's going to be happy just to be wherever we put him in the starting lineup or in the bullpen. Obviously, Flaherty's going to be a frontline pitcher, but Crochet's demands, you trade for me, I want to have every specificity. Give me the word. What's the word? Specificity?
Specificity.
There we go. Oh, Exactly. I want
Yeah.
every single thing net on my list. It's like when a rock star goes to an arena and goes, if you put like green M&Ms in that bowl, we're not showing up tonight. Stop the madness. You're a young pitcher. Go to what happens if the Dodgers wanted to make a move to Crochet? You know they got endless dollars. Go there, be a team player, and you know at the end of the rainbow there's going to be a pot of gold. So congratulations on sticking with Chicago. And I hope Chicago now just moves him into the bullpen and makes him throw way more innings than he even wanted to out of punishment at this point. So those two right there. Skubal staying, fantastic. Crochet staying, what are you doing, buddy?
Our guys, Michael Massey, Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny P, the Pasquatch, Vinny Pasquantino, delivering RBIs yesterday for KC. They win 4-3 over Chicago on the south side. The White Sox have now lost 16 consecutive games. If you think Chicago is bordering on the longest losing streak in Major League Baseball, I direct your attention to a Louisville team from the 1890s. But since the year 2000, the longest losing skids in Major League Baseball. The Royals in 2005, they lost 19 consecutive games. And the Baltimore Orioles back in 2021, also a 19-game skid. Quickly to Tarek Skubal, because you're spot on, Donnie. There was a lot of optimism, and rightfully so, in Detroit, despite a former front office that many in the Motor City hated. You keep on to your young studs. That is Tarek Skubal. We have seen guys deliver for Detroit as well. You invested and brought in A.J. Hinch. There are things to like in Detroit. They might miss out on the playoffs this year in a competitive American League, and frankly, a very competitive American League Central that might send 3 of its 5 teams to the postseason, and in the division lives the Chicago White Sox. So fine, maybe you'll border around 500. Maybe you will miss out on the postseason once again. But you have some staples, manager, ace, a couple of young bats to build forward with. I'm very happy for everybody that I know in Detroit, for Tigers backers and faithful, that Tarek Skubal was not moved despite some early speculation that maybe he might be.
Now, who do you know in Detroit, by the way? Like this, a
lot of my Michigan State fans.
But by the way, Detroit itself, it is a decent-sized market with an owner that's very rich and willing to spend money. So I always look at these like long-term and say to myself, if you're going to move Skubal, like what are you hoping to get back? Hey, a guy that's maybe as good as Skubal? Like keep the guy. He's not making $60 million a season at this point. You need to have something to look forward to in the next season to build off of. That's Skubal. Thank goodness he stayed.